Hello everyone, this is SR7 from Master RW and today I am going to review on Gintama. Gintama is a manga series written by Sorachi Hideaki which started its serialization from 2003 and has been adapted into anime and has spanned over 10 seasons. The first 4 seasons have been produced by Sunrise Productions while the remaining of the seasons up to the current season 10 has been produced by Bandai Namco Pictures. Now, the plot of Gintama revolves around the late Edo period in the Tokugawa shogunate era, involving aliens who are called as Amanto, and their fight with the samurais, where the samurais lose and are stripped from carrying the swords. And here is our protagonist, Gintoki Sakata, and his apprentice. Shinpachi Shimura and an alien looking like human girl Kagura, who is from the Yato clan from outside the earth. These three together form the Yorozuya or the odd jobs and they do anything to make out their living. So that's around some of our protagonists, and that's how the whole plot goes on for Gintama. And various other characters like the Shinsengumi and many historical characters, historical elements have also been taken in to this series. Now, I'm going to review the 10th season, that is the latest season, the Silver Soul arc, which began airing in January 2018 has aired 2 episodes so far now. The first episode revolved around the bringing back of the Amanto in the series. Amanto got somewhere lost after its introduction at the beginning of the series, and they continued for quite a while, but after that they just got lost in the series and had no mention at all. It was all human versus human battle. The aliens totally disappeared, because of which it got the genre of sci-fi comedy and samurai comedy, because Gintama is an anime which deals with gags, satires and hilarious moments. But lately Sorachi Hideaki in his second half of serialization added more of drama and action along with keeping the gags aside. He retained the gags, of course, which are the funny part of Gintama. So, coming back to the Silver Soul arc, the first episode 1, or the overall episode, it's episode 342. The Liberation Army comes to Earth to overthrow the Tendoshu rule. But in the name of liberalization, the Liberation Army tries to misuse their powers and throws the entire Edo into chaos. The residents of Edo try to revolt back, but in vain, and there's total chaos, total destruction. The Liberation Army is doing whatsoever they like, and on the other hand, here is one of the characters of Gintama. If you have been watching this show since the beginning or reading the manga, you know this character, the former chief of Immigration Bureau, Taizo Hasegawa, busy taking out a coin. He gives a damn shit that his home is under siege, his home is getting attacked. All he wants is that coin, which turns out to be a toy coin. Now, the first episode completely revolves around this plot: the Liberation Army taking over Earth, taking over Edo, and the residents of Edo revolting against the Liberation Army, and basically the friends of Yorozuya hoping for them to come back, as we all know that they were outside of Earth because of the previous arc, the Battle of Rakuyo arc. They were not on Earth, so they are eagerly waiting for the Yorozuya to return back to planet Earth and save them from the Liberation Army. And as always, heroes do often come late in the end. Our heroes arrive and save at the moment in the end. That's what is all about the first episode. The art and animation is good, excellent work. The framework was nice, and it deserves 7.5 rating from me, because nothing much than the introduction of the Liberation Army and their siege over Earth, trying to take control, and nothing more than that happened. Coming to the second episode, which aired today in the morning of 1:30 a.m. It starts with a little bit of flashback while heroes are still returning to Earth. They are discussing how to stop the Liberation Army, how to defeat Tendoshu and Utsuro, who is the central antagonist of the entire show of Gintama and also happens to be the former master of our hero Gintoki and his fellow comrades Katsura Sakamoto and Shinsuke Takasugi. So they discuss how to defeat their enemy in a very hilarious way, involving food and whatsoever stuffs in that. And also the shogun Tokugawa Nobunobu, who was so called the primary antagonist of the previous arcs, is also involved in this mess up. And Kagura, just it was so hilarious. Kagura just spewed some soy sauce and mustard in his food, and which he eats up, causing him stomachache. The second half of the episode deals with the negotiation with the leaders of the Liberation Army, where Tokugawa Nobunobu goes as an envoy from Earth, along with Katsura and Sakamoto as his bodyguards. Basically, if you want to have a negotiation with the party in front of you, how would you deal with it? First, you place some demands of yours, the talk proceeds, some paperwork and whatever it is. At least you place your demands, you talk over it, and the opposition replies, and this is how a proper negotiation takes place. I mean, you make a deal, basically. So, what was the first thing our shogun demanded when the negotiation began? He wanted to use the toilet of the Liberation Army. Now come on, that's the first thing you ask after you got to negotiate with the Liberation Army. You ask to go to the toilet, just because his stomach was hurting a lot after eating that spicy food, and they spent 3 days in the toilet. The shogun spent 3 days in toilet, and also side by side watching Star Wars and playing games of Star Wars, which is of course the specialty of Gintama, adding satires, adding spoofs of famous shows, whether it's any other shonen anime series or manga, or even Hollywood series. They have made rip-offs of it a lot of time in the past, and they did it again here, mentioning Star Wars. So the negotiation begins, and this is one of the most hilarious and disgusting negotiations I've ever seen. I read it in the manga, it was funny a bit, but when I watched it in the episode, it was a lot hilarious. Well, I just couldn't control myself. He wanted to shit out in his pants. He couldn't control his shit, and that's how he was negotiating. His shit was compared to ballistic missiles, to nukes and whatsoever, and the process of disembowelment, which is also kind of punishment the samurais give if found guilty for any crime. Well, rather it was just a bowel movement. They were comparing it to disembowelment, and that was called a sort of a technique. And launching out shit was compared to launching out nuke, and that's how this negotiation took place. And there was nothing more than that in this episode, all but shady negotiations, and it all went well. And at least the troops of Liberation Army were withdrawn. Already in the first episode, the Edo residents drew off the Liberation Army, and in the second episode, they gained some momentum by negotiating with the leader of the Liberation Army to buy some time to avoid a massive scale war between planet Earth and the entire force of Liberation Army. So far, this is it in the anime, and many more things are going to happen. A lot of fight is going to get involved later up ahead. We all know what is happening in the manga. It's almost reaching its climax, the final arc, but it's about the anime. It's just begun, and so we won't discuss about the climax. A lot of sequences and good scenes are yet to come. My rating on the second episode is 8, because again there was just the gags and the hilarious stuff, not much of the action, and the animation as usual was quite good, and so it's 8 out of 10. And maybe when the actual fight scenes come, the actual drama, the actual action of Gintama comes ahead in this arc, it will definitely be a 10 on 10. And now I would like to recommend this anime to those who are new to the anime world. I've never heard of Gintama. I want to recommend it to you, not just because it's another shonen anime. I liked Gintama because of its gags, but the second most important thing is that it's relevance to the actual Japanese history. I mean, Sorachi Hideaki picked up the actual moments of history, and the actual elements, the historical figures of the Meiji Restoration period and the Edo period, and brought them into the Gintama. I'm mentioning some names who were the statesmen of the Meiji Restoration. If you have watched Gintama, you can definitely relate the characters Shinsaku Takasugi and Kogoro Katsura. Now, to this names ring any bells? Shinsaku Takasugi was a statesman in the Meiji Restoration period. He was used as his character was used as a rebel samurai in the Gintama anime, changed to Shinsuke Takasugi. Similarly, Kogoro Katsura was changed to Kotaro Katsura. Isami Kondo, the chief of Shinsengumi, real chief, and what I imagine is Isao Kondo from Gintama, the chief of Shinsengumi in Gintama. I mean, just a slight changes in the name, but really, if you are a history lover, if you're curious in history and history, I mean, just in history, I'm not talking about especially Japanese history or Indian history or any history. If you're interested in history, you'll sure to check out the Edo-period history, the Meiji Restoration, the Tokugawa Shogunate era, the Shinsengumi, the fall of Shinsengumi, and all that stuff. It's available on Wikipedia. You can Google it and find out. It's really interesting and it's amazing. As for the viewers, we post regular videos on games, manga, anime, and books. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Do drop a like and subscribe the channel. As for now, this is SR7 from Master RW signing off. Bye bye and have a nice day.